Hello, hello, hello. Hooligan Soccer Podcast coming at you on this Thursday morning, post an incredible set of Champions League semi-finals, which we'll be covering with myself, Gary Striker, and of course, there's always the Qooligan. Good morning, Qooligan.
That's special. That what we saw. Correction. One of them was special. I think the other one was special if you had skin in the game, but one of those games was just a stone cold classic, no matter who you root for.
Yeah,
you have to.
True.
You've just got to. You just got to give. You got to give props where props are due.
Indeed. So we will get into that. We'll touch on the Champions League semi-finals. And then, of course, going into the weekend, we're looking at the Premier League as it starts coming to a wrap-up. And then, of course, there is the MLS as well, looking at some of those fixtures. And we'll pick out some interesting narratives and fixtures and events going on there as well. But before we do that, obviously, I think it's time for this ad spot to be utilized in the best way possibly can. So as we've always been saying, with the FIFA Club World Cup coming up in a little over a month, we've decided to launch our own dedicated show, a FIFA Club World Cup, a global showdown, a fan cast, which we'll be doing daily with myself and the Qooligan. We'll be having fans coming on.
I'll be there.
Who have been at the game. We'll be going to some of the games. We'll be talking about, obviously, all the activities and all the matches. So anywhere you get your podcasts in the usual places, like, subscribe, follow FIFA Club World Cup, a global showdown from the Hooligan Soccer Network. Okay, so we've got all the plugs out of the way. Qooligan, do we want to start? Do we want to go and shit on Arsenal first, or do we want to go and talk about that Inter game?
I can tell where you want to go, so head to the crapper.
Arsenal. I mean, look, I don't think they really stood much of a chance against PSG. PSG looks so good. I think it's what was a little bit unbecoming was Arteta's reaction in the mix zone afterwards. I don't know if you sort of heard some of the interviews where he was.
Oh, I've heard about it. Yeah.
He was
kind of hard to escape it.
Yeah, he was trying to spin it as sort of like, he heard the PSG bench congratulating him and saying they were the better team, and then they asked Luis Enrique, and he was like, "No, he didn't say that as well." So you can imagine. Look, he's frustrated, he's emotional, I'm sure, and he's trying to sort of keep it together. So I can empathize a little bit with that, but I just feel like Arsenal just were outclassed here by PSG. Would that be your sentiment?
100%.
Yeah,
100%. And you can listen. I've seen arguments that if you go in and study the tactical analysis and the XG and the shots and the possession and the threat matrices and all of that stuff, you could sit there and go, Arsenal were the better team. No, at the end of the day, the better team. I mean, there are some cases where the better team loses. It happens, right? Freak goals, other things that are outside of their control. I don't think that's the case here. I think that PSG were stronger, maybe not on every metric, but overall they were just better, and their finishing was more clinical. Aside from the missed penalty kick, that was a disaster.
Yeah,
that was an embarrassment for PSG. That's the one ink blot on that win was that horrific penalty. That is so bad. Bad.
Yeah, it was.
That's the last time he's taken one for a while, I'll tell you that.
I think he's punched his card there and say, I'll get to the back of the line on that one, hey?
Awful.
I feel Arsenal, again, I know we've been saying this all season long, Arsenal really did just look a little bit blunt up front. I know they've got wonderful creativity in Odegaard, Saka, Havertz when he's fit and playing, but again, they're missing they're missing that sort of tip of the spear, a striker, a real goal scoring striker. I know they've had injuries, but they just looked just a little bit blunt. And when they needed it, they just didn't look like they were going to get over the line, and PSG could handle them and manage them.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah.
Blunt is a great way to describe it, right? Blunt, because they have been at certain times in the year an extraordinarily sharp unit, right?
Yeah.
A real deadly blade, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
That was not on display.
Yeah,
that was not on display.
Now, I think it would definitely also be fair to mention that Donnarumma was an absolute monster in goal.
He was.
Oof, wow, he's a good goalkeeper, isn't he? He looks so good. I mean, he's 6'6", but he's nimble. His feet are quick as well for a goalkeeper of that size.
The way he got down on that first shot, right? He got down so fast. I Because he had to wait. He couldn't see it, right? So he was a little obscured, the vision. Phenomenal. Again, what an outstanding piece of goalkeeping we've seen in this tie, and we'll talk about it in the next one too. But it's funny how the goalkeepers became, in many ways, the focus and the star of the show. Donnarumma did not win Man of the Match. You could have made an argument that he should have.
Yeah, agreed.
But and listen, here's the other thing. Raya wasn't bad either.
Yeah.
All right. I mean, let's be fair. Arsenal didn't lose because Raya made a mistake, or Raya did. No, he had some incredible saves. He did save that penalty kick. No, they failed, as you said, because they lack the ruthlessness at the top.
Yeah.
That's pure and simple. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And with that Premier League match at the weekend as well, that's 3 games on the trot now Arsenal have lost. Is there a trend here?
That is correct. That is 3.
And they play Liverpool this weekend. I know maybe they'll get a free one there, but we know where we're going with this as well. But it's possible. It could happen, right? It could.
We discussed it. We discussed it in the last. We discussed it in the last pod, and I was the one who brought it up. And I still stand by what I said, that there is a chance, however slim, that Arsenal could miss the Champions League window if they don't turn around. I think they will. I do think that the club has enough heart, has enough discipline, and they do play Southampton as their last game. So, that's as good of a gimme as you're ever going to get.
Yeah.
And if it comes down to it, they're going to start their A team in order to win that game.
They have to.
Yeah. They're not going to roll over and show the soft underbelly that quick. Yeah. And after 3 losses, Arteta's going to be fired up to beat Liverpool. That he's going to want to do that.
Yeah.
And the team should too.
Do you think the Arsenal hierarchy are looking at this and saying, look, we've given him 5 seasons now. He's delivered us, I think it's 2 FA Cups in totality, which is not obviously bad, but the expectations were league and or Champions League, and he's just fallen short each time. And I do wonder, do you think they maybe start looking around and saying, maybe we make a change, or do you think they back him and go and spend big?
Listen, who knows what the billionaires are thinking? But I can say this: who are they going to get that's better?
That's a good. I mean, there will be some managers who will be available, right?
Really, but who do they get that is going to take this squad
them to the next level
and make them to the next level?
Carlo Ancelotti's available. He likes living in London. He's done with Real Madrid.
I mean, sure. Listen, it could happen. I don't think it will, but you're right. I mean, that is a chance. I don't see someone else coming in with that squad the way they are and getting anything and really making them, tuning the engine so that they're operating at a slightly higher gear.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if that's necessarily a failure in management. Maybe it is, but I don't see it. I don't necessarily see that as a failure in management. I just see it as a failure either in team cohesion or just something lacking in the will.
And
I don't know.
Squad.
I don't know what it is.
Look, they have had injuries. The squad is lacking, obviously, a striker, as we know. As I say, I think the interesting thing is just the narrative of Arteta coming out now, right? As I say, he was this line about obviously saying that they were better than PSG, which isn't true. And then obviously they're talking about in the Premier League, one of the press conferences, he was saying how Liverpool won the league with less points than Arsenal achieved in the last 2 seasons. And so, which is true, but at the same point, but at the same point, Arsenal also achieved less than Arsenal have done in the last 2 seasons as well. So again, this is kind of where I'm thinking is just like suddenly just the sounds and the narratives and the sound bites that are coming out for him are not of confidence, dominance. We are going to go forward and push forward. It's kind of excuses, justification, and I do wonder if that's if he's just. I'm sure it's frustration as well, but it's worth calling out.
It's certainly possible. I would hate to think that Arteta gets kicked to the curb based on this, but if it happens, I could see why. I just don't think I just don't necessarily think it's appropriate. And it's a real gamble because there is very little chance that whoever they get to replace is going to be doing any better. I don't think you're in a situation where that bounce is going to be very big. That's all.
All right. And then PSG, I mean, what a job Luis Enrique has done in turning them around, and turning them into actually a team, a cohesive team rather than a sort of collection of individuals playing for themselves, right? He really has done a great job.
Yeah. I mean, there's your legacy, right? And that's, you're absolutely right on that. 100% spot on.
And he's won the Champions League already as a Barcelona manager. So if he can go and do it with PSG and get it for the first time, again, he puts himself up there in a very sort of rare in terms of caliber of managers.
Yeah, it is a very rare scenario, right? It's not, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, the number of managers who've done it. It's less than, I think, five.
Exactly. I think
it's less than five.
Van Gaal has done
equal
it
to
with,
five.
Van Gaal did it with Ajax and Barcelona, I believe, or Bayern Munich and Ajax, I think. Yeah. Mourinho's done it with Porto and Inter. Ancelotti's done it with AC Milan and Real.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a couple of other.
But still, that's peak, right? I mean, that is rare company. So yeah.
So it sets us up for obviously a fantastic final against Inter Milan. But I think let's go over to that side of the bracket as well. I mean, that first leg we were like, that is a game for the ages. I don't know how you can get better for that. And then the second leg came around, and I mean, we were just on the group chat and we were just like, what the fuck? Oh my god, what is going on?
No, ridiculous. I mean, sheer ridiculousness. You know, we said, if it was half as good as the first one, we'd be happy. It was more than half as good. I'd say it was half again as better. And it was half again as better and in half the time, because I didn't think the first half was particularly compelling. It was good, but I was like, oh, okay, right. You know, good on you, Inter. You're going to go in there and bring it to them and give them a little spanking. And that after that PK, it looked like they were deflated. I don't think Barcelona played well in the first half. I think they were disjointed. They were not
at it. Yep.
They were just not at it. There was something amiss. But whatever they did in that locker room.
Team talk, wow. They came out and wow. It was explosive, wasn't it? Absolutely explosive.
So explosive. And then there was that, I have to admit, my entire universe shifted, and I said, well, now I don't see Inter coming back from that.
Yeah.
You know, that 87th minute shot from Rafinha, I thought it was done. I thought they were over. I really did. I was like, wow, okay, good play, Inter, but
another remontada, possibly, yeah.
No, didn't happen.
Yeah,
didn't happen.
Did not. And then, I mean, but it's if you're Lamine Yamal, you actually, for the first time in a very long time, or if ever, have felt what it's like to be a loser, obviously at a high level and getting so far, because he just seems to win everything that he plays in. So, I mean, he'll learn from it, obviously. But I mean, again, I don't think this is it's not like a failure like Arsenal did. And when I say failure, that's not really too fair on Arsenal, but they just didn't have enough to sort of, you couldn't see them getting past PSG. But Barcelona, if they went again and played again, they could beat Inter. You could see that happening, right? So it's not sort of like
totally
Barcelona fallen short. It's just one of those games where it went in and just the score it just wasn't their day, right?
It wasn't their day, and you know, Barcelona fans are all over the socials talking about how this could have been thing and the refereeing and this and that, and I get it. The fans do that. That's a normal part of the thing. I did not see anything in that game that struck me as being decisive, in the sense that it was the referee's choice or not choice that called the game. A lot of people talk about that last goal and whether that was a foul. I didn't think so. I just think that's players colliding in the course of the game. You can look at anything in a VAR in slow motion or in a still photo and say that's a foul. But when you actually watch it in real time, it certainly does not come across that way. It's just they both just come in and they go for it. But who knows?
I think the other one as well. I think is it Jan Sommer, the Inter goalkeeper? I mean, again, another goalkeeping performance, just phenomenal. I mean, he
better than Donnaruma's, I have to say. I mean, as good as Donnarumma was, Sommer was next level. I mean, he was beyond incredible. And he won man of the match. And how many times do you see a goalkeeper win man of the match while conceding 3 goals?
Yeah, exactly. That just shows how ruthless and dangerous Barcelona are and how they'll get at you as well, right? And
how good he was.
That's a really good point.
Just how good he was.
Conceded 3 and still got man of the match, right? And just shows, that really as well. I mean, it's frightening how much firepower Barcelona have, and they definitely do look. They'll go on. I think they'll probably go on and win La Liga, and sort of unfortunately they won't have that clean sweep of all of their competitions. But it's not a failure from their season by any stretch of the imagination.
No, it's not.
Yep. Okay. The other one as well. The other thing that I saw, which was quite interesting. So Inter Milan sold Andre Onana to Manchester United, the goalkeeper. I think that for about 50 million. I think it was 2 seasons ago, and signed Jan Sommer for 5. And now you compare the two. Now, how's that for a little bit of business? Hey, that is it's an upgrade and making 45 million. That is good business, right? Good business from Inter for sure.
That is phenomenal business. I really have to. That's good research, Gary. Good research.
Yeah. So let's turn our attentions. Okay, so Champions League semi-finals out of the way. We know the final. Basically, we've got the 2 fashion capitals of the world will be going up against it. I believe it's in Munich. So that will be happening in a few weeks as well. So we'll be covering that. Obviously, Paris versus Milan, which will be, or Inter Milan, which will be a phenomenal. I hope it's those games.
The fashion capitals dueling it out in one of the finest beer cities in the world. Well done. I like it.
What could possibly go wrong? Hey, that would be a fun trip, right?
Everything could go right. Yeah.
It's the stars have aligned, right?
Bring it.
We have obviously this afternoon. We have obviously the remaining European semi-final second legs. Obviously, Bodo Glimt. We think they probably don't have enough to get through Spurs, but you never know. It's Spurs.
I think they do. I think they can. I don't think they will, but I think the heart's there, and I think they're going to scare the living hell out of Spurs. But ultimately, I do think that they'll fall short. And Atletico Bilbao they're done. They're cooked. There's no way they're coming back from the 3-0 deficit. Even United can't bottle it that bad. I'm gonna give a little credit here. I'm gonna be soft. It's the soft side of me today. I'm gonna give United enough credit that they can finish this one out.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, let's see how that one goes out. Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that one and see what happens there. Okay, so let's turn our attention to these weekend fixtures and activities as well. So let's just focus on the Premier League, and then we'll touch on the MLS. So we're looking at the fixtures. I mean, I think, for me, the big one that jumps out is that Liverpool-Arsenal game. If Arsenal lose, that's all of a sudden when the spotlight gets on them even further, and the intensity and the wobble questions about wobble come. But again, we'll discuss that a little bit, so we will see. But there is a chance if they do lose, Man City are breathing down their necks, obviously 3 points behind them, and could catch up to them. And sort of who are Man City playing? They've got Southampton, so you'd expect City to roll over them.
It is as close to a guaranteed win. It's like getting a gimme on a 20-foot putt. You're like, okay, I'll take it.
That's good,
right?
Yep.
Or you've got a cup that's the size of a swimming pool, but it's no. You've got to really have a look at these teams that are right now sitting in between 2nd and 7th, right? Yeah. Because this is where everything, and maybe even 8th. You got to see what's going on. So. You say Liverpool Arsenal. I think that's a big game, but I don't think it's quite as big as the Chelsea Newcastle game.
I didn't want to go there, but you did. So
no, I will give you that lead in. I will walk straight into that honeypot that you put out for me. So
okay. So that is the big clash, 4th versus 5th. I think whoever wins that is got 1 foot in the top 5 and looking pretty confident as well. I imagine my gut tells me it's probably going to be a score draw. It's going to be a 1-1 or a 2-2 or something like that. But
wow, really?
Chelsea have formed suddenly have picked up all of a sudden 3 wins on the bounce and sort of they look really good against Liverpool. Cole Palmer, I was looking at sort of some of the match analysis and looking at the highlights as well. Cole Palmer looks as though he's sort of got a spring in his step back. It was just 1 game, so we'll see what happens. Obviously, they've got a game today as well, so that's going to be there's going to be sort of a bit of fixture sort of blockage, if you like, where they're going to.
That's right, they do. They got to beat that Swedish team.
But yeah, they're like I think they're like 4-1 up on aggregate.
No,
like
again, I don't anticipate that one going awry.
Yeah.
You're right.
No.
Djurgården, right?
Yeah, that's exactly. So I agree that definitely that Newcastle Chelsea game is going to be the one to watch because that will have a big impact on who finishes in the top 5.
Yeah.
You've got
Forest
Leicester
over Leicester, but I think Forest does the business here.
Yeah.
As resurgent as Leicester was, let's remember they were playing Southampton.
Down.
So
they're down. Yeah.
It's not going to be, they're already relegated. There's not much left to play for.
Yeah. Forest, I think with that draw against Palace, they say that they just scraped through as well. They did just enough to keep themselves in it, but
just enough.
Yeah. If there's any slip ups here, even if they get a draw now and Chelsea and they pull away, I think it's the momentum starts to sort of fade away from them a little bit as well. Villa coming up from the rear as well. Just watching Villa against Bournemouth. That's not going to be an easy fixture.
That's the other one. Yeah. That is the other one that matters, right? You don't have to watch Manchester City versus Southampton. That's a given. That's a given.
Yeah.
I don't even think you have to watch Forest versus Leicester. But I do think you have to watch Bournemouth and Villa. Yeah. Bournemouth are the trickiest team to play right now. They can and will beat you if you give them even an inch of space.
Yeah.
But they can also be extraordinarily fragile. And so, let's just see. Let's see what Villa has not had a great run of it. Villa I think Villa has certainly, with all of that momentum and all of that incredible effort that they did and that great deep Champions League run, they're kind of limping into the end of the season, man.
They're struggling. Hey, they're struggling.
Limping in.
It would be such a shame having, as you say, gone sort of done really well in the Champions League to qualify, get through, also in the FA Cup to fall in the semi-finals as well, right? It would be a shame for them, and it does. Again, 2 teams are going to be missing out on that one, and it as I say, Forest Villa's form. Again, I want Forest to do it, but I don't want it to come at the expense of Chelsea naturally. But I just hope Forest can do something as well, and see how that comes out. I think the other interesting narrative as well is there's kind of a weird matchup at the bottom as well. West Ham, Man United. Now, again, I know it doesn't really matter. Their season's over. They're not going to get relegated, but there's a pride thing where it's like you don't want to finish in 17th, 16th or 17th. And Man U and Tottenham could do that if West Ham get a result and jump above them. I know Spurs are playing Palace. So Palace will be, hopefully have a draw there as well. So we'll see how that comes out.
I think Palace, they could do it. I mean, listen, the only game that matters to Palace right now is the FA Cup final. That's it. That's all that, right? So everything that they're doing now is tuning themselves for that game.
Exactly. And again, you assume Man City are going to finish in the top 5, so they're in Europe. So this means Palace obviously will be in Europe next year as well, which is
they want the trophy because that everybody wants the trophy. But this is for them. That's the game. Everything else through the season, sure, it's you want to win, you want to go out strong. But let's be honest, eyes of the prize.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, and then just moving through into the MLS this weekend as well. Obviously, I think any of those games that sort of jump out for you, Qooligan, and
Miami, Minnesota,
would be interesting.
Miami, Minnesota. That's because Minnesota. Listen, nobody's paying attention to them, but they're one of the best teams playing right now in a very, very quiet Midwestern and Minnesotan way.
Yeah, just grinding it out, right? Doing the results.
Yeah, getting it done. Not being flashy, not being, but just. And Miami had a nice bounce. They came back. They kind of thumped their opposition. They're going to have to do it again, and I think that they're going to have a hard time against United. The Loons, I hope, will be able to do it. Let's see. Other ones that jump out at me. Let's see. I like the DC United Toronto game because DC United, they had a big win yesterday. They had a big win yesterday in the Open Cup because the Open Cup is going on.
Okay.
And did require extra time to do it.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't start their A team. They had Benteke on the bench, but they didn't put him on the field. They felt they didn't need to. He would have subbed on had it looked like they were going to have to do penalties. I guarantee they would have put him on for that. But no, they had some of their other players. They did swap in two normal starters and win in the extra time, scoring 2 goals. They should be able to take down Toronto. Toronto's just so poor right now. Let's see what else is going on. Well, if you're hate watching, you got to do Red Bulls versus Galaxy.
Yeah, I don't see them still winless this season. Still winless.
13 games without a win.
No wins. It's
longest. I think it's their longest continuous losing streak ever.
It has to be. There's no way that they've done this before as well, particularly with the sort of the history and sort of obviously the success that they've had in the previous years of this league, and for sure. Galaxy, again, I don't know how long that goes on before I think the best thing that can happen for them is the Club World Cup comes around and they get a pause and they just can sort of regroup. But again, they look as though they're in between a rock and a hard place.
There's no way for them to regroup. They have nothing to regroup around.
Yeah.
All their money's gone. They've spent everything. They've got no transfer clout.
Yeah.
They're in as bad a space as you can be.
Yeah.
For a club.
I think the only thing you can do is change the manager and hope for some bounce, right? That's the managerial bounce. That's probably that conversation is actively going on at the moment inside of Galaxies.
And Vanny's, his status is unknown. I mean, he did win last year.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
He won it all.
And the other game that jumps out at me, of course, I mean, we've been sort of absolutely crushing on Vancouver and just how amazing they are and how well they've been playing. And interestingly, going to be playing LAFC. And of course, LAFC now are going to have their attention turned to this knockout match to qualify
the $10 million game.
Yeah, these massive games, right?
Know.
Yeah, so I that one will be an interesting one as well. LAFC are looking pretty good, but again, I think Vancouver are just so good, so strong.
Yeah.
Obviously, with Berlant, but with Brian White and obviously the rest of the team there as well. I think
Sebastian Berhalter.
Berhalter as well is looking good. Yeah. Austin, Cincinnati as well. That's the sort of Austin. How they are doing what they're doing is questionable, but you'd expect them to sort of probably.
I mean, they dodged a bullet last night, right? Austin dodged a bullet last night. They were down 2-0 to El Paso.
Oh my God.
And not looking great. Vasquez had 3 misses in the first half again.
Wow. Yeah.
And then it just sort of turned around. They scored 3 goals in 7 minutes and were able to win. It wasn't a convincing win, if you ask me. They just got, I don't want to say they got lucky, but they got lucky.
You'd expect them to beat turnover El Paso, and they struggled a little bit then.
I wasn't expecting them to turn over El Paso. I was actually expecting them to lose, but and I was disappointed that they didn't. But Vasquez, he found a shooting form. That's he got, and when he did that, when he does hit them and he hits them accurately, he's dangerous, and he did that. So it goes. Now the other one, Nashville and Charlotte, right? That's the other one that I want to bring up, because here are 2 teams sitting at the top of their respective division, right? Both of them in the East, both looking on good form, both of them having won their Open Cup ties. Charlotte a little less convincingly. They required extra time as well. But in that extra time, they scored 4 goals. So it's great. 0 in the first 90, 4 in the last 30. If you're going to do it, at least they saved it to the end. But, and then Nashville just got the business done. So This is a good match. This is another good match that should be, that will have implications for the standings.
Fantastic. Wonderful. Well, Qooligan, I think once again, we've bounced around the wonderful world of soccer from European competitions to obviously the Premier League and then over here to the MLS, covering a bit of the the Open Cup. I'm sorry, I was getting my divisions and my leagues
Just
mixed
a
up.
touch of the Open Cup, yeah.
Just a little bit, yep. Okay, well, wonderful. As always, Qooligan, thank you for joining me. And obviously, we'll be back early next week as well, just looking at some of the activities. Do Arsenal choke or not? Do LA Galaxy, do they get over the line and get their first win? We shall see. Obviously, all exciting stuff.
Just want to make sure to give a little shout out to the youth, because this weekend is the MLS Next Flex tournament in Boyd's, Maryland, where 64 of the top 64 MLS Next teams, whether academies or clubs, will be going competing in 3 games within their groups to earn their way into the MLS Next playoffs, which occur in June. So best of luck to all those youth teams who are busy flying across the country right now. So
wonderful. And you're
wish them all and I will also attend. I will be there, but that's not the critical thing. It's about the kids.
It's about the kids in the future as well, and the future.
That's right.
It will be interesting, if you can. It will be interesting to find any, if you spot any rising stars as well. It would be interesting to sort of get some insights onto that. Who's the next? Is there an American Messi in the system somewhere coming up, and we'll find out.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Exactly. All right,
Qooligan. All right. Until next time. Thank you,
Mr. Striker. Peace.